Of course, is Dr. Michael Donaldson. I'm a chiropractor out of Atlanta. I graduated in '96. We do a lot of alternative care therapies, biofeedback, bionetics, laser allergy, all kinds of cool things. And as a physician, anybody here ever try to convince a doctor about the water? We're not stubborn, are we? Anybody dealt with a skeptic? Has anybody dealt with a critic? I was somewhere between a cynic and an opponent. I have made the position and clearly stated that alkaline water didn't work, that it was a fraud. And the reason that I had done that was because on May 28th of 2009, I got enrolled in the School of Hard Knocks. Gastroschisis is a short gut syndrome where basically your insides are on your outsides.
And our story really started with Skylar. Our fourth child was born back in 2009 with severe gastroschisis, kind of an inside-out thing. All of her stomach, liver, pancreas, spleen was on the inside. It was really traumatic, to say the very least. And, yeah, on the outside. And so what you see in that tube is what they're trying to tuck back in. She was in Scottish Rite for a year. When they sent her home, it was 100 hours a week of home health care. And her third year, she went into failure to thrive, and it was intense. Everything being complicated by the fact that she had to have colostomies, resections, and the worst part was what's called acute dehydration syndrome. And if you look at this picture, she looks just like a healthy, happy little girl, except for this was her just a few hours later after she had dehydrated. When you pull into a children's hospital to the emergency room and the doctors meet you in the parking lot, you know you're having a bad day. After that happened a couple times, I was basically like, I will leave no stone unturned. I will try anything and everything. And nothing really worked. We went through probably a half a dozen water ionizers before we discovered Kangen Water. And because there was no way I was going to pay that much money for something that I wasn't even sure was going to work. And then a patient kind of brought it in and gave it a try. We actually had to feed her through this port here on her stomach. And so when we met Amy back in 2012, she was a pharmaceutical rep and literally just real persistent. She and I argued and debated and bantered. A lot of people just get into the whole pH argument. I hate to tell you, pH is 100% completely irrelevant. It is not because the water is alkaline. This is not alkaline water. That is lost in translation between the Japanese language and the American language. This is electrolyzed water, but we'll get into that. So I was talking with Amy, and long story short, the doctor called while Amy stopped into the office and, gave us pretty much the worst news you can get. Your child's at failure to thrive. She's got anemic, blood in the stool. She's not metabolizing fats. She's not metabolizing proteins. And we have nothing else left to do. With Amy laying on the table, I had just gotten this news and I'm kind of stunned. And then in the background, I hear somebody pipe up and say, look, Michael, Dr. Michael, Skylar doesn't have to suffer because you're too stubborn to try the water. I'll give it to you for free. And I was just aghast that anybody would say that to a parent that just got that news. And I was mad, I was angry, and I was ready to just rip into her because I was really mad at the news. But then, that still small voice was like in a God thing. I said, just try the water. And I said, fine, bring your water in. I'll try it and I'll prove to you it doesn't work. And then please don't ever bring this up again. She was like, fine, great, I'll do it. And to my own embarrassment, it took just 4 days. And like 80% of Skylar's symptoms were going away, gone. She turned a lot of corners. Ab was like, is her belly softer? And I'm like, I think her belly is softer. And she's like, yeah, and she's not crying. I know, right? And so then I called Amy like that Monday and I said, look, we're seeing some positive clinical findings we'd like to pursue further. And she's like, it's working, right? And I'm like, okay, it's working. Can I get more water? I mean, I'm eating crow here and I need to wash it down. And, within 10 days, she had her first solid bowel movement and it freaked her out. It's kind of a funny story. I was shaving, and normally she'll either cry out or whatever because her stomach hurt. And she screamed and said there was a snake. And when she said there was a snake, I went running because we lived at the top of a lake at the time. And she's like, it's right there. And I'm like, where? And it's like right there. It just crawled out of my belly. She had never seen a solid bowel movement, and so she thought something was wrong. And so I did what every good parent does. I took a picture of it and sent it to my wife and said, we need to get a machine. And so in 6 months, we had removed the feeding ports. This is literally 6 months almost to the day that we started it. She was doing her little ballet recitals. Today she water skis, she likes to play sports, but I was just aghast that this water worked so well, because like, why water? Because everybody's water. And that's when I started to really dig into the research that not all water is actually equal. Actually, all water is equal except for one. It used to be in the 70s and 80s, they recommended distilled water because it was the most purified form. Today, we have something that's almost as bad called reverse osmosis water. And what it does is it strips all of the minerals out and leaves a very, very acidic water. Filtered water is basically water that's been contaminated and cleaned up. Alkaline water is water that has more alkaline minerals in it than acidic, specifically calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Any form of ionized water is water that they've hit with electricity. And so when you start to look into the alkaline ionized water industry, there's 10,000 machines out there. And in those machines, they're adding some minerals and they're adding a current and calling it alkaline ionized water, which it is. But then there's this whole other category of water called electrolyzed reduced water. And it is literally the best water in the world. I'll explain to you why it's natural and how it's supposed to occur. But the bottom line is everybody wants to ask me, well, like, is it going to help this? Is it going to help that? If you want to research any type of electrolyzed reduced water or conditions, you go to Google, you type in electrolyzed reduced water, NIH, and then whatever kind of condition you want to talk about. Here's where it talks about, from a genetic standpoint, the effects and the preservation that it does from oxidative stress damage. Anybody with MS, Parkinson's, diabetic neuropathy, Alzheimer's, Asperger's, all that stuff that's neurological, your inflammatory responses, fibromyalgia, those are all part of it. And they're now finding that electrolyzed reduced water helps with neurological conditions, specifically because of the hydrogen. There's articles on anti-aging and fertility, a lot of information on diabetes, free radical scavenging. And so this isn't just like, hey, Dr. Michael says you need to drink this. This is like peer-reviewed, National Institutes of Health, research, triple-blind studies, peer-reviewed journal articles that show this is the real deal. And the interesting thing is they use this stuff in hospitals all over the world. And the US is a little slow, a little bit behind on that. First thing I want to say is it's a piece of the puzzle. It is not a cure. If you have a real health condition and you just drink the water, that is not a cure. That is a piece of the puzzle. It was the only thing we changed in Skylar. It was the missing piece, but make no mistake, we were doing everything. Prebiotics, probiotics, enzymes, nutrition, scans, stem cell reactivators, you name it, we were using it. And so this was a missing piece that managed to maintain and take care of the hydration issue. It's simple science. Could it save your life? Absolutely. I'm not going to tell you that it wouldn't, and I'm not going to tell you that it will. But if you don't make healthy choices, any benefits that you get from this water is not going to be as effective or lasting. It's water. It's 72% of an equation. It simply gives you the best 72% of your body to work with, gets nutrition into your cells better, helps you detoxify better. You'll have higher energy, better health. You'll heal faster. It has the oxygen, hydrogen, hydroxyl, carries an electric charge. And those are the things that your body needs and why your body drinks water. If you think of your body as a saltwater aquarium, You've got a properly balanced pH, you've got coral, you've got filters, you've got oxygenators. And if you don't take care of it, you know, your tank gets really, really dirty. And so you need to clean that tank. Now, I don't think anybody would agree that just changing the water in this tank is going to make it clean. No, the fish will get healthier, they'll have better water, but that is not a clean tank. You have to start cleaning that stuff out. Well, the way that your body starts to detox and clean itself out on a cellular level is a process called cellular respiration. If you look at this and think about, you know, you kind of like your heart beats, your cells also will pulse. It's called tensional integrity, and it's a pulse factor. And the higher the electric charge is on your cells, the better that pulse works. If you look at this little section here, this 6 represents what's called an aquaporin, and that's the way that water gets into a cell. There's the charge, there's the hemoglobin. When you collapse this cell down, you're actually squishing out CO2 and toxins. When it pops back open, it sucks in the oxygen and nutrition. Out with the bad, in with the good. Here's the problem. Because of all the pollution and acidity and low electrostatic charge in water, the water molecules will clump together. And so right here is about 24 molecules stuck together. Well, if this aquaporin will only take 6 molecules or less, you're going to get poor hydration. If you could separate those out, you're going to get a lot better hydration into the cell, picking up the garbage and taking the bad stuff out. The first thing that people go, well, how can you say this is natural when it's using electricity? Well, you know, electricity is a natural process. I mean, when Benjamin Franklin stuck that thing on a key, now they're finding out the Egyptians may have had it. Basically what happens is when you're at the ocean and you watch this magnificent electrical storm and you like feel energized and everything feels great and it looks great, you're like, oh, I feel good. Basically what's happening is you're creating a natural process where you're getting a massive body of water that has become electrolyzed and reduced. Most people don't understand that the big issue with acid rain is in every single storm cloud, when there's an electrical storm up there, it is electrifying and electrolyzing the rainwater, increasing oxygen, increasing hydrogen, increasing the hydroxyl for the water as it rains down on the earth. The problem today is it's all acid rain. And people are like, well, acid rain is normal. No, that is something that humans have done to the planet. So what is actually going on? You talk about hydrogen and oxygen. There is a process where when you take water, if you add enough electricity to it to break the covalent bonds holding the hydrogen and oxygen together, you get molecular hydrogen, active oxygen, and hydroxyl ions. In a water that is so excited and separated that it will actually create hypermobility. That's what lets it get into the cells. The reason that that's important is you produce energy in what's called the mitochondria, which is 34 to 6 ATP. When you oxidize pyruvate and crosses, see all the H's? Those H's indicate the amount of hydrogen. There's adding water, they're adding O2, they're adding electrons, they're adding hydrogens. You create this Krebs cycle that produces energy. Well, in Otto Warburg's research, he showed that if you can decrease a cell's oxygen level by 35% for 48 hours, you shut down this Krebs cycle and you start to burn glycolysis. And that became the first technical definition of a cancer cell, is when the body is not using the Krebs cycle correctly. So what's the difference between this electrolyzed reduced water and alkaline water and the chemicals and all that stuff? Well, the very first thing is it is not affected by the stomach acid. When you drink alkaline water or water that's got calcium, magnesium, and potassium, you neutralize any acid potential in there. Those chemicals will build up in your tissues, and they last for weeks, months, and they can even create some calcification of major organs. When you drink electrolyzed reduced water, it's not affected by the stomach acid. The pH is changed because of the increased level of hydroxyl in relation to hydrogen. And as soon as that hydroxyl is absorbed, it is instantly neutralized. So it is self-limiting with a max shelf life of 3 or 4 days. As soon as you drink this water and the hydroxyl is absorbed and bound to your like lactic acid, glucagon for diabetics, it's neutral. There's no way for this to build up in your system. As of this afternoon, I've not currently found any negative research on PubMed in regards to electrolyzed reduced water. No warnings, no concerns, no concerns, no issues with organ function, nothing. It's all highly beneficial. So how do we create this at home? Well, the Japanese took the technology and said, let's create a lightning strike, and we're going to put some medical grade platinum and titanium plates in a machine that's the size of your coffee maker. And really what happens is it takes this cluster of water molecules and it breaks them into smaller groups. When it says 8.5, 9, and 9.5, because they pioneered the pH thing and that whole economy and product line, it would be better to say large, medium, small, or high or low. Because what happens is the 8.5, you could say, is that cluster is broken down to 6 groups of 4 with 4 extra electrons. The 9.0 would be 5 groups of 5, and the 9.5 would be like 6 groups of 4, and the 11.5 would be 2 groups of 12, or 12 groups of 2. It just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It's the amount of electrolysis that the water has gone under. Another way to think about it is if you had this cluster of grapes to represent a water molecule, and you had this jug, this is the aquaportin, and you're going to get all these things in here. You have to break these things apart to dump them in here. If you don't break them apart, you're going to get really poor hydration. What the machine does is it breaks off the grapes and dumps them in there individually. Sorry for you guys in Canada. I know we've got some Australians on here now. 50% of your body weight in ounces. You can do a conversion. I think it was like 2.5% of your body weight in liters or something like that when I checked it out. But essentially here in the US, regular health, you want to drink half your body weight in ounces on a regular day. So if I weigh 200 pounds, I want to drink 100 ounces of water. If I've been outside working out really hard, I want to drink 75% of my body weight, or 150 ounces. If I have a serious health condition, cancer, diabetes, fibromyalgia, Crohn's, you want to drink 100% of your body weight in ounces. And some people will look at me and go, are you kidding me? I weigh 300 pounds. That's a lot of water. Yes, it is. There's a lot of you there. And so you need to flush that stuff out. Most people retain fluid because they're so incredibly toxic. Now, there are exceptions to the rule on this. If your physician has already specifically reduced your water intake, fine. Drink a reduced level of this water. We have people that are cardiac patients that have, there are severe water restrictions that have actually increased functional heart capacity by drinking this. So let's talk about the pH scale for just a moment. Basically what happens is they do the water test because if it turns red, it'll make you rust, and if it turns blue, it'll make you beautiful. And you really want to be somewhere in this 7.0 range. So most people today will drink coffee, tea, soda, alcohol. This is a 32-ounce pitcher of water that I put blue drops into. And as you can see, it's about a 9.5 water. This is 1 tablespoon of Sprite. And it came out this color. So I poured this bottle into here, and I got this, still somewhere in the 3.0 range. When I poured this tablespoon, diluted with 6 ounces of water, into this bottle, you can see that it immediately started to destroy it. And within seconds, I actually had 32 ounces of acid. The scary part is that was 1 tablespoon of Sprite. People go through big McDonald's and get a Big Mac and supersize it and drink 2 full pounds of acid and wonder why they have health issues. Same thing for LaCroix, same thing for tonic water. If you have a gin and tonic, you're wiping out literally 18 gallons of water. So if you have 1 soda a month, you are literally destroying the available oxygen and hydrogen in your tissues. You need to find a way to buffer that. I do enjoy gin and tonics, but I also I put in a calcium tablet known as a Tums to neutralize it in my stomach so that it does not destroy my tissues. Another big thing about these machines is, we're all trying to eat healthier, but the problem with health food is, all these people going vegan that aren't cleaning their veggies with this, they're actually killing themselves because they are getting raw pesticides straight into the body. And a lot of people will try to clean them and they do like a vinegar thing. The reality is this stuff is designed not to wash off. It's not because there's some conspiracy that they're trying to kill the population. It's the farmers don't want it to rinse off in the rain, so they have to reapply it all the time. The problem is it doesn't rinse off in the sink. This right here was a set of tomatoes that I had rinsed for 5 minutes under tap water, and then I rinsed it for 60 seconds under the Kangen 11.5 water, and that was what came off of those tomatoes. It actually completely changed the taste. It smelled like Windex. If you have any digestive issues, heartburn, indigestion, Crohn's, fibromyalgia, IBS, and you're not taking off the pesticides, you are actually eating yourself into your condition. You are absorbing all of those pesticides. And pesticides are designed to destroy the digestive tract. A lot of people that drink bottled water do not show up to the pot and open 10 bottles of Dasani water and dump it into their cooking thing. They may use filtered water from their fridge, but the reality is you're cooking in the chlorines from most of your tap waters. They use chlorines and fluorides. They're actually cooking it straight into the food, and that actually destroys your thyroid. Another aspect is that you can use the 11.5 and the 2.5 is cleaning your house, cleaning your fruits and veggies, sterilizing your counters, sterilizing wounds. We use it for pets. We use it for all kinds of things. One of the biggest differences of the Enagic lineup, other than it is a true electrolyzed reduced water machine, is it is the only one on the market that produces true hypochlorous acid. They talk about 2.5 strong Kangen water. And there's a lot of competitors out there that say they make 2.5 water. I would like to clarify that 2.5 acid water is what you drink when you drink most of your bottled waters. Dasani, Aquafina, Fiji, all that stuff, they're coming out. The spring waters, they all go through a reverse osmosis machine. So if you think, oh, I don't need this, I drink really good quality spring water. Well, unless you are actually getting the spring water out of the ground yourself, you are drinking reverse osmosis water that came from a spring or a natural spring, an underground spring. When you get it from Fiji, it's been through an RO machine. That's 2.5 water. That's what every other machine produces. The difference with the strong Kangen acid water is they take a salt solution and it makes HOCl, and that is literally an $8,000 difference. The average cost of a hypochlorous acid machine to produce that is $8,000 US. And it does not produce 11.5 that you can clean your house, clean your fruits, clean your veggies. Hypochlorous acid is actually an FDA-approved sterilant. Was approved in 2009. They use it for medical, dental, and everything. Has to be generated on site. And when you electrolyze regular tap water, it does not meet this criteria. It has to have a salt solution to make hypochlorous acid. I've had this machine tested. I've had the water tested. I've got several different lab reports from several different places. Basically, MRSA staff, all your salads right now that everybody's been getting, E. coli, and they don't eat it. We've been washing our stuff with the 2.5 and rinsing it. It's dead. It's dead on contact. That's how we use it in restaurants. MRSA, methyl-resistant staph, Kripke, Klebsiella, and ammonia. It kills all these things in about 30 seconds. This was a MRSA that a patient had on the thumb. Cut her thumb, cutting a bagel, was getting ready to have it amputated. They started drinking the water, using the protocols for the 2.5. They kept the thumb. This is actually my sister. Head wounds bleed really, really bad. She cut herself on a set of head streamers, and in less than 21 days, you couldn't see the scar. We use it for wound care for home. This is where my son cut himself. This was a post-surgical internal MRSA infection where a guy had it around his liver and his gallbladder. He had been on a wound vac for 7 months. And within 18 days of using our protocol, his physician removed the wound vac and declared the margins clear. I had nothing to do with what went on with the wound vac. I said, clean it with this, drink the water, sterilize it, and have your doctor check it out. That is not, I'll co-managed all of this. This was another patient. He actually had a Kangen water machine. He was drinking the water, but he was also drinking 3 or 4 glasses of scotch at night. And this is a diabetic ulcer. He finally calls me up. He's actually sitting in the hospital getting ready to have his toe amputated in 2 days. He said, you think that 2.5 water is really going to help me? And so he started it. And within 2 days, it looked like that. And I said, hey, this looks like it's healing. There it went. He's got the toe to this day. We've worked with the hospital further on that. Here's more gangrene. That's really what makes the Enagic machine different from everybody else on the market. We produce a true electrolyzed reduced water that's medical grade with medical grade plates, and we are the only machine that produces hypochlorous acid, hands down. Other than that, everybody else is a knockoff company, meaning they don't actually produce their own equipment. An OEM company means it's an original equipment manufacturer, so they have the tightest quality controls. They've been doing this for nearly 45 years. They started in '74. They are the international award winning from the Water Quality Association. This is like the Olympics for anything related to water. They do filters, they do tubing, they do ionizers, they do filtration systems, water systems, and Enagic has literally got the gold seal since its inception. If you want really to have the best machine because you take your health seriously, if you have any sort of health conditions, I recommend K8. It has 8 plates, high wattage, high amperage, produces all 7 types of water, the 2.5 hypochlorous acid, the 11.5 cleaning water, and it comes with a great warranty. Comes with cleaning cartridges. They will clean it for you if you have issues. They take care of it. When I compare machines, I get a lot of people that look to, hey, can I use this machine? Can I use that machine? Et cetera, et cetera. The bottom line is, does it have enough power to actually break the water apart? The SD501 has 350,000 units. It needs 250. The K8 is over 400,000. The average competition is about 14. It doesn't even break the water apart so that the charge will last for more than 10 or 15 minutes. That's due to amperage and plate size. This is the only one with a liquid saline enhancer that'll help produce hypochlorous acid. Another big thing is when the other machines that we had, you couldn't clean your own machine. They say, oh, well, my machine cleans itself. No, they all reverse the charge on the plates to keep calcium from building up on them, but that doesn't affect the mold or corrosion inside the housings, the tubings. Enagic is aware that there's different grades of water, like the gentleman that just spoke. That's why they have a dedicated team of technicians that detail your machine inside and out, and I get mine done once or sometimes twice a year. And the reason is, if you look, this was one of my machines that I had, and this was another one. This one was 9 months old, and this one was 2 years old. This one is 6 years old. That is a plate out of the SD501, an Enagic machine. This is the corrosion and the burned plates. You can see that the platinum had come off. You can see that it had burned and scorched. There's mold in the lines, all from these machines that never needed cleaning. There is a reason whenever you go to somebody else's website, they compare themselves to the Enagic machine, the SD501 and the K8. It is the industry standard. They have superior maintenance, superior cleaning. They have the highest quality plates. They have the best power supply. The company is the category king. They started 40 years ago. It produces all the types of water and hypochlorous acid. Nobody else does. A lot of times people say, well, look, our ORP is the same as theirs. But that's one comparison. And there's machines out there that the ORP is negative 12, 1300. The problem is you fill your water bottle up, get in your car, go to the gym, and in 10 minutes, it's completely degraded. If you want to compare machines, let's talk molecular hydrogen, the amount of oxygen, hydroxyl ions. Yes, the ORP. Does it produce hypochlorous acid? Does it produce 11.5 water for pesticides? Also does beauty water. Does the machine clean itself? Does it come with an auto clean? Does it come with a way to manually clean it? Does it have a way to get it completely detailed? Does it have a valid warranty? I had people that bought some of the real sexy marketing ones, and they said lifetime warranty, but it was a paper warranty that was void within 6 months. The 2 units I had didn't carry anything, Denny. By the time you buy some of the competitors, there's some that go, why the SD501 doesn't work, or it's a pyramid scheme or whatever. They honestly have no idea what they're comparing. If you look at their machine and spend $3,200 or $2,500 for it, you have to turn around and spend another $3,000 to $5,000 for a hypochlorous acid machine. Then you have apples to apples. You don't get that when they're trying to pitch you on why you don't want the SD501. Bottom line is, it is the best machine that I have found. The only thing that I think may rival that is the Kangen 8, which has 8 plates. I've used it. It's phenomenal. We recommend it a lot. I look forward to having you getting some feedback on this. Have a great day.